Hi, welcome to Cine-Excess 2023, Raising Hell, Demons, Darkness and the Abject. So that was Body Issues, and we're delighted to be joined by Marjorie Conrad, the director of the film, and conducting the Q&A with her today is Xavier Mendik.
Marjorie, welcome to Cine-Excess 2023. It's wonderful to have you here, and congratulations on Body Issues. This is a movie that Cine-Excess, the team of Cine-Excess, really fell in love with when they saw it. So congratulations and welcome. We're going to ask you about this film. Warm welcome to Cine-Excess.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Well, the honour is ours, and the reason we're so honoured is we felt that Body Issues was a really original and a really innovative film. Can you tell us how the project came about?
I have to say that I have a lot of existential dread and just existential rumination about the body itself and the limits of the body. And I was really affected by the film Johnny Got His Gun too. The body is a prison. And that's something I think about a lot. So I also have a big concern with trying to distinguish reality from manipulation in my daily life. So that's sort of fed into the film. And I also watch a lot of YouTube content where YouTubers are using the camera as a safety device, as something where they invest this power to record objective reality. It's sort of a witness to their reality. And I was interested in that, in the camera as this tool rather than something that's sort of, I don't know, self-referential or just discussing the medium in itself. Something that could actually save someone's life if someone paid attention, you know. So I shot the film pretty quickly, and I edited it pretty quickly. Maybe it was just in gestation for many years and then sort of came about now.
Well, it's a fascinating film, and in a way, you've already started to raise it. You know, it seems like, would you say that Body Issues was a result of personal issues, cinematic obsessions, or philosophical interest, or a kind of mixture of all three?
Mixture of all three. I think I watch a lot of films, and it's hard to hold my attention a lot of the time, just because I feel like the primary question is the relationship between mind and matter, and no one is really touching on that. Or they are, but few are, and most seem to be interested in sort of playing out this style or form that's already been established for a long time. So yeah, I'm very much concerned with how much can you really decipher from a surface, and how much is our memory and our perception being altered by contingencies and things are out of our control, and is truth actually attainable in any way? So that's
very contemporary concerns in a way, Marjorie, and they really come through in the film. Also, what comes through is a focus on the unknowable and the unseen body, which is particularly interesting, given that you, obviously, some of our viewers may know you have a former career as a model. And I just wondered how that, you know, is this film in any way a reflection on that former career and the challenges around looking and knowability in relation to the human form?
Yes, unfortunately, I think that experience really affected me beyond what I could have imagined. I was scouted for America's Next Top Model at 19, and I walked out on my audition. I wasn't going to do it. I thought it was a huge mistake. I was chased down, and I did it. And I sort of went through the motions. And because I had studied film and I knew about production, I knew that the producers were looking for something specific. I wasn't delusional about actually being America's Next Top Model or this actually having any sort of impact on the industry. And so I was really concerned with how it was made and how it was perceived, but it really did affect me in terms of how I perceived other people, how I perceived myself, physiognomy concerns, everything. Everything was under a microscope. And then everyone was really, I don't know, they really praised it afterwards. You know, they thought I did a really good thing by being on it. And I really questioned that. And a lot of people contact me saying that, you know, that's something to be admired. And it definitely is something that gives me a lot of conflict. And I would really like to be able to somehow connect with others without seeing their physical form. You know, I think that really is an obstacle in a lot of cases, and the surface does prevent me from really understanding. That was that anonymity, that, you know, that I'm trying to hide that reality in order to access something more accurate, hopefully. And I think it kind of extends the disorientation of the film. The idea that she's being transferred from vessel to vessel and that the container is not really reliable.
I thought a really interesting answer there, and it neatly links into my next question, which is the unknowability of the body in this film is brilliantly conveyed through the use of body cam footage, which is one of the most innovative visual effects of your film. Did this technique create any problems in the film's creation or its completion?
I found the body cam to be really freeing and to actually give me exactly what I'm looking for, which is not technique. I think technique is something, I mean, obviously I love well-composed films, but I think there's something more visceral. I love that it's an extension of my own movement. There's that kinetic quality that I think is really important to cinema in itself. That is just really direct, and I try to keep the unity of the film with the darkness. You know, the GoPro in itself is really saturated and really, there's a lot of contrast. So it simplifies the image in a lot of ways, and I like that. I liked how much I could hide with it, with the GoPro specifically, and how small and portable it is. Like AI, these AI tools that are coming up now, it's just making what you're envisioning or conceptualizing easier to communicate as quickly as possible. And I like that. And I also use AI for the voiceover. So it's a clone of my voice.
That's really interesting. And sort of, you know, the monologue was, you know, the two things that really struck with me, the incredible innovative use of body cam and the monologue, whether it was AI generated voice or not. And I just wondered, was the monologue the starting point for the project, or did it come later to match the visuals?
No, it was the starting point, and then there was a main dialogue, and then I had some other voices coming in, but then as I shot it and edited it, I just kept the main monologue and rewrote some sections. And I thought it was going to be a short. It actually ended up being a lot longer, just because of all the footage. And also it kind of gave me this weird vicarious, I don't know, just opportunity to sort of experience what it would be like to die multiple times in a way, which I don't know if that's too morbid, but it does give you something you can't experience in life, this sort of fiction.
Well, let's stick with that idea of morbid dialogue, because I thought the monologue was particularly fascinating for its references to the body, actually. So you have the references in the narration to the body as scarred, the body as stained, the body as suffering. What kind of construction of physiology and identity were you trying to create with body issues?
Well, for me, the source of the suffering and the pain and the loss is just from this sensation of being monitored and controlled and manipulated, and not knowing who's responsible, who these unknown forces are, and just watching yourself decay, not knowing why. This pervasive doubt is just extremely painful, and that's what the speaker's trying to alleviate. In terms of the body, Maybe it is also maybe influenced by the modeling. No, not that I was consciously thinking about it all the time, but there is an emphasis on keeping this pristine skin and no blemish, no. Although now it's sort of being repurposed in some ways and trendier to have sort of an anti-modeling stance. I think there is something to physical harm, some sort of visible physical harm, in a way, being reassuring in a way, sort of giving you this sense that the suffering, this mental suffering, has some sort of physical trace, if that makes sense.
It certainly did, Marjorie. Thank you for that. And so you picked up on the words morbid here and suffering, and there's the vocabulary is lends itself to horror. And in fact, I thought if you hadn't called this film Body Issues, you certainly would have called it body horror, because for me it is a horror movie around identity loss. And I raise that because your other movies, say Chemical Cut or Desire Path, have often fused demonic figures or supernatural entities into kind of experimental landscapes. And I just wondered what attracts you to this kind of more sort of indie experimental approach to genre.
I mean, I don't really think about it in genre terms. These are just my personal pathologies and obsessions, that are kind of coming out. But I do think the body is my primary zone of interest in general, because it affects so much and it has so much influence on your experience in life, how others perceive it, how you perceive it. And I think people trivialize it often. So I also have a very specific, experience with my body, also because of how scrutinized it was, both on television and afterwards, with, cyberbullying, et cetera, or, constant, or, people knowing me before I knew them just from that. So it's definitely had an impact. And I also live with somebody, someone who has chronic pain, a chronic illness that's invisible. And so that definitely influences how I see the capabilities and the limitations of the body. The person who has it is Andrew Banowitz, who did all of the music for the film.
Which was great. I really loved the music. So thank you for so the music works perfectly with the images and the monologue. So thank you for that. Moving away slightly from the body into just some of the other themes that are raised by the movie, particularly the role of families, family tensions, and the role of the mother. I mean, how significant were these themes to your creation of Body Issues?
Very significant. I think the first half is mostly accusatory, and kind of placing a lot of blame. But the second half is more empathetic and kind of seeing the parental figure, the family unit, as, victim itself. I just in general feel a pervasive lack of control in my own life, and everything sort of being overwhelming with how fast everything is moving and not knowing why things are happening or not. So I see the act of putting someone on this earth is like, so you're giving them you're going to give them this sort of uncertainty, pervasive uncertainty about what's authentic or not. And why would you do that? So, just kind of probing that and questioning it. And, it's not a movie that believes in free will, really. So.
Absolutely. And I think, again, that adds to its appeal. It works at a number of levels and raises a number of questions for the viewer. A couple of questions on that to close, Marjorie, if we could. Obviously, we were big fans of it here at Cine-Excess. I just wanted to get a sense just of its wider reception in other festivals? How people are responding? Are you getting any sort of feedback, any interesting sort of vibes from those festival sort of receptions?
Yeah, actually, it's had a very good response so far. It's playing in Chicago at the Bridge Video Film Festival right after Cine-Excess, and then otherwise it got accepted to the New Jersey Film Festival, and then Bizarro Land Film Festival. So yeah, I'm very excited that people are connecting with it and it's resonating on that level.
And what's great is they're very different film festivals, which indicates it's got an appeal across different audiences, demographics, and genres, which I think is really, sort of in line with what you're trying to create here. So, final question. Obviously, Cine-Excess is quite a unique event, I would say, after 17 years. So we have a foothold in education. We look at kind of cult cinema globally. We have an imprint around diversity and inclusion. So all of those things kind of come to bear. For this year's theme, the theme is for Cine-Excess 2023. It's demons, darkness, and the abject, which is why Body Issues was so perfect for us. What do you find abject, monstrous, and disturbing?
Physical decay. I think that's the big fear. It's more like that state of suspension between life and death that I think is more horrific than death itself. And I'd say I'm more afraid of life than death most of the time. Yeah, so that's what I find horrifying. And also, just the contingency of life and how one little element could completely shift a sequence of events. It's difficult to determine the tertiary consequences of something,
That's a really great way of ending. And once again, we really congratulate you on this film. Let us keep us updated on those receptions and how it's doing. We wish it well. Marjorie, thank you so much for joining us here at Cine-Excess 2023.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone. And to our audiences, come and chat to us a bit further on social media. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival. Thank you so much. Thank you to our guests today.